kind of have 4 steps basically to planning your
Yeah.
off season. So the first one is that you need to have a plan. That's number 1, is to make the plan. So
Very important.
so all of this stuff, in order to plan your off season, it actually takes sitting down and making the plan part. It's not just on the fly as you go do it. It's like, no, sit and actually map out a plan. Like this is step 1. So to your point that you were talking about at the end, first thing you want to do, well, I'll say the 4 and then we'll go back to them. So have a plan, number 1. That's it. Number 2 is, in that plan, you need to be planning everything from what you want to do on the ice, what you want to do off the ice, what you're going to do in terms of training and recovery, those types of things, and have actual goals goals or something you're aiming towards in each of those areas.
Sure.
So you want your plan, you need to touch all those different areas in your plan. That's number 2.
Yeah.
Third one is going to be to set some benchmarks and have a way of tracking what your plan is. That would be step number the third thing, right? So you need to have your plan, you have each kind of the division inside your plan of what you need to be working on, what you're aiming at, and then you need to have a way to track that, or a benchmark. So if it's, you want to improve your sprinting time because that will make you feel like you're getting faster, that's a good one. How are you going to track your food? How are you going to track that you're getting your sleep properly? What are ways that you can measure some of this stuff? It doesn't have to be everything, doesn't have to be to a T, but just having an idea of some way to measure that you're making progress, so you're not just like guessing with whether or not you're getting better. And then the last one is going to be the ability to tweak or make adjustments as your plan progresses, because oftentimes your plan never goes according to plan, and you need to be able to make adjustments on the way. So if you're a month in and something isn't working the way you thought, you need to have the ability to make an adjustment to better suit what your schedule is, or what your day is like, or maybe you didn't realize how much school was going to be in the way, or whatever the case is. Maybe you get a job and that changes things. So you need to be able to make adjustments to that.
Parents drag you to the cottage for 2 weeks.
That's it, right? So those are kind of like the 4 things that I would say you need to, kind of the 4 more or less steps that you need to follow to get yourself set for the off season and through the off season. So the first one, for having a plan. So you mentioned this before. It's very important that you kind of reflect on what happened to this point, because in order to make a plan going forward, you need to have something to improve, and you need to be able to identify what you need to improve. So that means you have to reflect on what happened to get you to where you are now, good or bad, whatever it is. So this is where things, I was just asking this morning about exit interviews with the coaches. Like, what kind of feedback did you get from your coaches? What kind of pointers did they give you on where they see you need to improve? What did you think about your year? And being able to sit down and actually think and maybe even write it out, what happened and what you feel like you need to improve on. That's probably like the step number 1 that you need to do before you get into the off season. I don't know if you want to throw anything in there.
No, that's good. I mean, it is what it is. You look at, look at your game and say, you know what, I for Charlie this year, okay, for example, he's a young kid going in the OHL, very, very young. And he felt like he was getting like pretty good speed. And that's one area that he said, okay, I got better because you're just forced to. So it got better, but he knows, okay, I just want to continue on that. So that's something that in the workouts, on the ice and stuff, it's a hard focus. He went in there pretty strong, and he said, you know, like every kid says, you know, I got to make sure I'm stronger and faster, but I got to make sure I'm strong because guys are bigger. So he went in there and he said, okay, I was actually strong. I was actually very strong. So like in his plan, he might not have to spend quite as much time into like getting stronger because he is very strong. So maybe looking at his plan, he goes, if I can maintain that or increase it a little bit, but if I can put a little bit more into explosiveness, that might be a good thing for me, right? So he's able to take a look at that. And that's what you want. That's what you need to do.
Yeah. So that goes for whatever you're doing, on ice, off ice, whatever. So that goes right into the second thing, and you can start to talk more about the on ice stuff. But this is the four categories I would say that you need to plan is on ice stuff, off ice stuff, training stuff, nutrition stuff, and recovery stuff.
For sure.
So on ice, off ice, nutrition, recovery. So those are kind of the 4 buckets.
And the one thing that it would be an offshoot, and it's very hard for younger kids to do it, is do something mental.
Right, yeah.
Learn how to use your brain, and whether that's watching some video, which it's harder in the summer, but if you're watching some video, or that's a mental thing.
Yeah.
But if you're actually maybe working on something to make your mind stronger,
Yeah, I would
So
think for me, that kind of it's not exactly recovery. So I think yeah, maybe a fifth category would be more like the mental stuff. But
yeah,
I would kind of put that in when you're doing your recovery time. Like this is where you're doing some of that mental stuff. So